Hello everybody, welcome back to From Rhythm to Algorithm. We continue on with our derivation. I thought it was a good place to start, or at least to say explicitly, that there's only one derivation, right? We all live in the same environment, we're all describing the same physical systems. So in the same way when you wake up in the morning and you check your YouTube or your email or your social media, and you feel like there's a bunch of stuff out there, and then you have a bunch of notifications and you keep hitting refresh, and then you're at the point where it's just you keep hitting refresh and there's nothing new. And so each day when I quote unquote renormalize, again, this complete proof will be entirely contained within one video, within one sentence, within something very small, very brief. That, again, you would have to effectively recover all of this logic, like the entirety of it, because it's not unique to me. And so that's really fun, but again, what we're doing, we're reducing this proof sensorality, this base word sense, sen, S-E-N, or sor, S-O-R, because we have the stability of two. We need two words to build to a third word. We need three words to describe, to have a complete definition. In the same way we live in three dimensions, we need three words for a complete definition. And so really wanted to emphasize, again, there's only one derivation of fundamental ontology. Seniality is sor senicality. Sensorality is senicality. Continuing to build out the word family. An algorithm is if-then, right? We'll say, what's this? We're doing the scientific method, right? If this, then that. You have a hypothesis, right? A hypothesis is a conjecture. All conjecturing, all hypothesis, all ideas, right? Nothing is truly random. Your thoughts, your interactions, the way you behave, are they sufficiently random? Yes. You have free will, you can choose what you want to do with your day to a certain extent, right? I don't have constitutional rights, so I can't publish all of my research. And again, if you're randomly watching this video wondering who this is, you're at the tail end of a complete axiomatic proof. All of my work is not recognized publicly because a lot of the engineering applications are classified. But it's all illegal. Can't emphasize that enough. But if this, then that. Si esto, entonces eso. So there's a big differentiation, again, just literally talking out loud all of the logic that we've introduced, right? If this, then that in Spanish. But really wanting to emphasize eso es que, right? This, eso es that, excuse me, that was wrong. But eso, right? Esto this, eso that. So in Spanish, in the same way they say por favor, they'll say por all of the time for, which is wrong in Spanish. It's objectively wrong. Para es for. Todo y siempre. Then, entonces, you have este. But you have noreste. Este is east. And so, but people will say este for this all of the time. When they say este, they mean esto. Obviously, linguistically, eso is the opposite of esto. And you're just introducing that T sound. Yeah, but really eso es que. Just showing that completeness in Spanish, that is that. Which is, again, it's a phrasing you say, right? That is that. It's all done. It is what it is. That is that. So that's the completing general form. It is what it is. That is that. What is than? Right? You know how to use than. Chronology, this, then that. This or that, or is to than. If you're comparing something, right, that's the verbiage you'll hear. If you're comparing something, you use than. But what is than? Just complete generality. What is the relationship of a thesis and a hypothesis? Right? If then is a hypothesis. So what's a thesis? Right? If I have a thesis, I'm doing a dissertation, I'm defending my thesis. Here's some bit of novel information, here's my research, and here is the conclusion. Here is the result. So a thesis, I guess, is after the hypothesis. That doesn't really matter. Again, talking to you through the logic and thinking out loud, the relationship between the linguistics, the letters representing these sounds, and logically what these words mean. Sensorality liquidates. Liquidation is the opposite of solidification. We have all of these different terminologies like sublimination. I don't even know the different ones from solid to liquid, liquid to gas, gas to solid, gas to liquid, evaporation, condensation, all of these different words for how matter changes its phase or its state. And then stasis doesn't really exist. Everything is dynamic. Everything at present time is exchanging mass, is exchanging energy. The scientific method is analytical, right? I hope you guys did well on your homework assignment. Sensorality is analyticality. Sensorality analyzes, right? And analysis studies. Sensorality studies. I'm over here, we're doing a derivation. We're trying to show you this completeness, show you this synchronicity, and find the stabilizing theorem. But studying, right? What is study? When you study something, right? It's iteration, it's repetition. You're sitting there, you're trying to get the intuitive concepts in the right place, which is what I'm doing right now. You know, like, we've definitely done enough of the linguistics. We've definitely established sensorality, what we're trying to accomplish, and we just need this unique. We even know, like, what we're looking for, so to speak. But it has to generate from within me, very naturally. Because again, like I said, I know science team already has this stabilizing theorem. But for completeness, and especially on a personal level, there's no reason to jump around. And so when you're studying something, you're getting your big intuitive ideas in the right position, and then that's really just it. Because again, we all experience the same things, so it's like you're not born like an idiot, right? As much as people say everyone else is stupid, everyone has the capacity to learn. And we all have the same experience, experiential background of existing within the world. When you're interacting with the world, you're doing physics to the most real level possible. And so studying is repetition, is interaction, is learning, right? Studying produces learning. What is the relationship of analysis and synthesis? You study something, you're analyzing it. And if you're synthesizing something, right, you're bringing stuff together. So you go from analysis to synthesis. There's a bunch of data out there in the world. We're showing some structure from rhythm to algorithm, and now we have a bunch of ideas or a bunch of proofing, truly proofing, but it's not like it's still not the demonstration of completeness is what you would call the finalizing thing of this proof. And so integration synthesizes, right? When you take and you break down all of these different bits of information, you study at your job, you study at school, and then you put all of that information to work, you're synthesizing, you're integrating. Thermality is temperaturality, right? Temperature, chop off the additionality. How do we pronounce that? Temperaturality. Doesn't really matter. Again, just trying to get this completeness, showing the iteration, the direct iteration of the syllables with the letters. Sensorality is contemporary, right? Contemporarity. And we always force it out to the most general. But right, life is new. Whatever is on the news is contemporary. And it's clearly a word built on is it temporality or temperature? Doesn't really matter, right? Fever. Sensorality is feverality. Sensorality is virality. Seniality is virality. And all of these other derivative intermediary steps where it's like you don't have a clear intuitive picture. I'm just showing you the complete exhaustion of the logic. Like literally there'll be nothing else. There'll be nothing to write down. There'll be nothing to say. It'll just be the answer sitting on your screen. Which hopefully that comes soon. But all movement has velocity. And people will say, you know, there's speed, right? Speed versus velocity. Velocity has a direction. Well, everything has a direction, right? Everything is, if I traverse 1 meter in the X dimension, right? You can't in the same way, everything is time dependent. Everything is direction dependent, right? Because you're not moving through something, right? The mass is the absence of mass is space. And so all movement is, it's a false differentiation saying, you know, speed is a quantity that exists, right? You don't have movement without direction. So all movement has velocity. Again, you've seen that problem, but nobody's doing fundamental physics besides me. There's nobody, and I present these things as if like we can have a conversation. There's nothing to converse. I mean, you can demonstrate your knowledge with a full-scale proof like I have done, or there's nothing to do. I mean, there's no conversation to be had, and that's truly not me being arrogant. Sensorality is entropicality. Sensorality is picturesque. Our language is well defined. No, how picturesque, right? Picturesque, right? Esque, is it that? Like literally in French, that's kind of like the in it, is it not? In English. You know, I mean, the fact that languages are not distinct should be overwhelmingly apparent to you by now. How does slang relate to technology? All right. What is technology? Technology. Where does that prefix tech come from? Techno. Burn. But, right, because all of our language comes from people or from individuals. And so we're personifying everything. Technology. It's this thing that's different than us, and it's like knowledge, kind of, right? Algorithm, technology. These are words projected from human beings or from individuals. Again, human beings, what is a species? Still not well defined. We can get onto that again on another episode. But your age of disclosure, yeah, you guys know nothing. That stuff is not surprising whatsoever to me. But we can cover that here again in a bit. But the slang relating to technology, 6'7". I love that one. I don't know. But technology is inventionality, right? Sensorality is inventive. Inventive is creative. Sensorality is creativality. Creation develops. Developing materializes. Materiality is massive, right? Mass is occupies space. I keep saying that, but that's like we still have these overarching theorems that I've already proven completely that are never going to change. They encompass it, well, not in our lifetimes, for a substantial amount of time, they will never change at the species level. I mean, there's enough, right? You can say it is what it is to literally anything. That is the general form of all solutions. You're never going to be more general than that. Right, so, right, for, just one of these steps, I said sensorality is creativality, right? You might as well say, why didn't you just say creative? Because again, we're expanding it. The expansion is limited only to these prefixes, or to these suffixes and prefixes. And so, because we have this irreducibility and our base word doesn't change. In the same way, when I watch the stock people and they're like, oh, we're going to change 12 basis points. Interest rates straight to the moon. I don't care about anybody else. I want more money. Interest rates go up. I just might have to reallocate if we do that, or if we don't. But the point for this video, point being, is when they say, it changes 14 basis points, it changes 25 basis points. The basis doesn't change. I've said that like a million times, but it doesn't. But then expecting CNBC stock traders to try to talk correctly in ontology, that's never going to happen. Mood is tonal. Sonality is tonal. There is no numbers with less than 3 letters, right? We have spellings for numbers. And so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Clearly, very, very immediately, there's no letters. You don't spell any number with less than 2 letters. So we've already established that language is more fundamental than numerics, which is obvious. It's obvious that there's more letters than there are numbers. And then you might say, well, Brad, you can say, un, deux, trois, un, has 1 letter in French. No, it doesn't. Remember, there's not unique languages. You have to get used to this. This structure is not a joke. But again, because English is a convergence, like the entirety of that, whatever English is. Again, it's literally the fundamental syllable ing. We're converging to that. But then we have a stability limit of 2. And so English is not it's a set of sounds. And so it's absolutely correct to say there are no numbers with less than 2 letters. And letters represent numbers, and numbers represent quantities, and neither of which exist, right? They're all purely logical. Right, what is liturgy? And again, remember, our religious ontology is not religious. It's just a law office from ancient times, and then people trying to recreate a level of proofing to that, and just because you're demonstrating the syllability, right? When they say the word of so-and-so, it's like, we're so close to getting it. But liturgy, sensorality is liturgical. Sensorality is surgical. I'm surgical with the pump, Jake. Surgicality is precise. Brevity is concise. And finally, hypocrisy is inconsistent. Hypocrisy is sensory. You can literally feel when someone is saying one thing and doing the other. Like, for example, our great governor, Michael DeWine. I uphold the Constitution. Hey, Governor, what about Article 1, Section 8, Subclause 8, where I have my rights to my writings and my discoveries? Well, be patient with new ideas, Professor Sean Carroll. Oh, but that's the law, dude. Like, the law and stuff is, like, supposed to be the thing that, like, I keep turning on the news and everyone's like, you have to pay taxes because of the law. And you go buy a soda and they take money out of that as well for the law. And it's like, where's this law thing? Where is it out there? I can't seem to get it to do stuff. But again, there's no sense to hypocrisy. One day 1 + 1 = 3, that's wrong. And you're like, okay, I'm kind of getting used to this wrong stuff. And then the next day 1 + 1 = negative black holes. Wow, that's new. Then after that one, it's, 1 + 1 = Joe Burrow. And like, wow, didn't see that one coming. so there's no rhyme or reason to inconsistency. And pretty obvious, the entirety of the human species at this point is just a bunch of different little groups all saying, look, that person's inconsistent. Look, that person's inconsistent. And everybody's inconsistent. That's why we have a big clusterfuck of nothing. And our society sucks. So that is it for our derivation today. Again, my rights continue to be violated despite me putting on a jovial appearance. I am being the victim of crime every single day. All I'm asking for is a little bit of money so I can sustain life, and I do not have that. The victim of crime, it is profound. I sit here just trying to resolve that, and I'm the victim of crime. I'm not the one doing anything. I just exist, and people's like, let's take away all of his rights and destroy his life. Well, you guys have done a good job. Anyway, thank you for watching. See you on the next one.